Welcome to Creative Type Podcast. This is episode 31, How to Sign Your Artwork. I'm Lori Rivera.
And I'm Jaime.
And welcome to Creative Type Podcast.
Hello.
All right.
So here we are. Episode 31. It's exciting.
Yay. Yeah. All right. So I think this is going to be a quick one.
Yep.
But a very important one as well.
It is, yes.
So,
all right.
Yeah, we thought we'd do a podcast on how to sign your artwork. Basically, this is something to really think about. Like, how do you want people to see and view your work and remember your name when they see your artwork? You know, so
yeah, and I think it's part of your branding. You know,
it is. Yes.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like your logo. Your signature is
right. Yeah, because artists usually don't have logos. I know,
right.
Amy, I think you have one though, don't you?
But it's just my signature. It's,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess I do have some words on there, but it's just mainly so people could see that easily, and I could control what the font looks like and stuff. So, yeah, but it's not. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily call that a logo. At least,
right.
You know, not in the true sense that like Nike or Coca-Cola or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, so, it's essentially your signature, so.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to put a logo, really, on your painting or your sculpture or whatever it is you're signing.
Although some people have signed with a little logo, you know.
Yeah.
That has been done in the past. I can't remember what famous artist did that. I'm thinking of this one. I can't remember who it was, but he had like a symbol that he signed with.
Okay, yeah.
But most people sign with their actual name, and you have many, many options. You can sign all lowercase, all uppercase, first initial, last name, last name. I mean, the options are, there are so many options.
Right. Married name, maiden name. Whatever.
Right.
How do you sign yours, Lori?
I sign mine first initial, last name, and I capitalize the L and the R. But I kind of wish I would have chosen my first name and my last name just for marketing purposes. Like you do yours first name, last name. Yes. I've noticed that. And like if somebody sees my artwork somewhere, I want them to be able to look me up.
Yes, that's true. That is something to think about. I guess you could change it now if you wanted to. You could start adding it in because it isn't going to be that different. I mean, your signature is going to look the same, and you could change it now, but just be consistent. Once you make that change, stick with it. I think consistency is the key on getting recognized. And, maybe even do a blog post or something that mentions, hey, I changed my signature. Because, all this is going to be for posterity, right? All of our blog posts, they'll be able to, it's like evergreen. That stuff's going to be around forever.
Right.
Excuse me. And even if you get rid of your blog, I do think that it gets copied and put in some sort of archive because I have accessed even my own, and I can't remember how you do it, but there is a way to go back and find old files, even ones that have been deleted. So that when they say nothing ever is gone, they mean it on the internet. That's
yeah. And I think I think there's something called Wayback Machine.
Yes, I think that is what I was using. Yeah.
Right. So you can go back and look at things, what websites looked like 20 years ago, for example. Right. It's crazy.
I know, it's crazy. But, I was thinking back whenever I first started painting, I did not even think about my signature, and I just signed it. And I used my cursive handwriting, and it was hard because I wasn't used to doing that with a brush, and it looked horrible. It looked really bad. So I think that you want to keep the way you sign your artwork is different than your personal signature. I think it should be different.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I used to do mine in cursive as well, but I put a little twist on it, so it wasn't like exactly like how I would sign a check. It was different than that. You know.
I have very few pieces that have that on there, and it's not something that I look back at. I'm like, ugh, that looks so bad. And I changed it really fast because I actually write better in when I handwrite, I actually print better than I can write in cursive, so it's easier to read. Now, I sign mine in all caps, all of the whole way around. But my name is short, Jaime Haney, and I stack it. And that's another thing you didn't mention. You can stack it or keep it long. And I don't think I've ever kept it on one line. I think even no matter what size the painting is. Now, if I have tiny little paintings, I have used my initials. Now I have a fancy little way that I use my initials. I use the same line for the J and the H. So it kind of looks kind of cool. And I actually have used that as part of my logo, that JH. So that's something to think about. That could be your symbol, your kind of like a monogram almost. And like you said, if you want to sign, you don't have to use your name. You could use a symbol or your initials.
Right.
And
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that all art can be signed somehow. Just get creative with it. Even sculptures, they're easy. You can, you can also scratch your name into the paint or the clay to sign it. The only thing
I've done that before.
Yeah, I have too. On thicker paint and oil. Yeah, I've definitely used that. I think it might be harder if you have like a fiber piece, like an installation. I don't know how you could do that. If it were, I'm thinking of these, they're kind of trendy now, how people do these weavings and they're kind of boho looking. They're really cool. They're made with yarn or some sort of fiber like that. Now, I don't know how, I guess your signature look would have to, or maybe they do sign it somehow on the back or attach a card or something to it. But it's definitely, if you're in the business of selling your artwork, you definitely want people to be able to find you from your artwork. And I think it's important to make it legible. Like you said.
I think so too.
Yeah, because so if it's sitting up at, say, a doctor's office or, on exhibit somewhere, someone may want to like that and they may want to revisit you and your website sometime. So definitely, I mean, I don't think I would put my website on the front of it, but definitely have your name and how it is. And I think that brings up another point. Maybe have it however your website is, too. That would be important. So if you use, let's just say, for instance, you use your website is Creativity by Lori or something like that. Well, you're not going to sign your paintings that way. So that would be an example of what not to do, I would think. Of course, there's no rules. You do what you want. But I think for best practices, and if you want to get found, you better be consistent.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I chose to sign mine the way I do is because I didn't like how long my name was. And I don't even have a long name. My name is pretty short. But I didn't like how long it was. So I decided to do first initial last name. But one thing I've noticed is that what I could have done is just made my letters skinnier,
Yes.
And then it wouldn't be as long. I noticed the other day when I was at Inman's that Iris Gentry does that. And she doesn't have a real long name either, but her letters and her signature are a little bit, I would consider them a little bit on the thinner side,
Yeah.
I really like the way she signs. I really like the way she signs her artwork.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
Iris Gentry, huh? Okay, I'll have to look at that. And I'll see if she has a website, and if she does, then I'll give her a link on there so everyone can see what we're talking about. Now, that brings up the kind of tool that instrument that you're going to use to sign. So I would think that she's using something similar that I'm using. I don't like to use a pen. I like to use a brush. I want to use paint because I match it to whatever I'm painting with. I want it to look good on there. And I use a rigger brush. Or
that's what I use.
A liner brush.
Usually, yeah.
And they're longer. The brushes on them are longer, so they hold a lot of paint. And I like to get the paint kind of water it down so it's real loose, the pigment is loose. Or you could use a high flow paint, like Golden High Flow. But definitely, you need to thin it down so it doesn't clump all together.
Yeah, so it flows.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is that how and I do know of people that use like a marker, like a Sharpie, and I don't like that at all.
I don't like that either.
Yeah.
I like to blend my name in too, kind of like what you were saying. Like I always use a color that's in the artwork to sign my name.
I do too. I pick a color but I don't want it to blend in. I want it to stand out a little bit. Now, if I'm right, thinking about Bob Ross, he always used red, I think.
He did.
Red paint to sign his name. So, I mean, and it was big. It was big. So he wanted people to be able to see that he did that. And I agree with that. You want to, get credit for your painting, right? There want to be no question about who painted that.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
Something else I was going to say too is where to sign your artwork. Do you want to sign it on the front, on the back, on the side? I know that Vicky, our friend Vicky, she's been signing hers lately on the side, like on the edge of her.
That's kind of cool and kind of contemporary, I think. However, what happens if that gets framed and then it's gone? Like it won't be, you won't be able to see it. So that's a good example of why you'd want to have it on the front, because if it gets framed. Now, if you got the thick, chunky canvas, that's not going to be typically framed, but it has been. I have collectors frame my chunky canvases. I always sign mine on the back in addition to on the front. Now, I sign it differently because I don't use a paintbrush. I'll use usually like a 2B pencil, and I'll write on the back of the canvas with that. If it's a wood piece, then I will use Sharpie marker on that. But, you don't want that Sharpie bleeding through on your canvas. I don't know if it would or not, but I'm not taking that chance. Yeah,
me either. I do mine in pencil as well. Yeah. And something I do on the back is I sign it, and actually when I sign on the back, I put my real signature on the back. I just started doing that this year. Yeah. I decided to go ahead and, because, well, first of all, since I signed with my first initial last name on the front, I want my whole name to be on the back, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to put my actual signature on the back, like how I would sign a check or something or whatever. Yeah, and then I also put the title, I put Evansville, Indiana, and I put the ID of the painting, the number.
Right, yeah. I do that too, but I don't do my signature. I have a different signature, and it's really just my name in print. However, I write it out fast. So it's not, it's not with a brush. So it looks different. It's with the Sharpie or pencil. Yeah. But I still prefer to write in all caps. I think I got that from my dad. My dad always did that, and I just learned that from him, and I like the way it looks. So you can also, like for prints, we didn't touch on that. Like it's typically signed on the right side, and then you put, if it's a limited edition, you put your limited edition numbers on the left. That's how I've seen them. But, there really is no hard and fast rule for this.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
Right. But I put my inventory number on the back. Now, I like the idea you put Evansville, Indiana on there. However, I do think about, I may not be a New Harmony artist forever. That's where I live now, New Harmony. So I don't know that I don't want to put that on there.
No, but I put that because it was painted in Evansville, Indiana.
Well, that's true. That's true.
If I ever move, yes, then it'll change.
Yeah. But if you have your inventory number, then that has all the information, like for provenance. I don't know how important any of this stuff is really to the collector, but it's, I think it's like we said, it's important to be consistent. Now, I have started putting on the back of mine the dimensions. Like I'll write it on the bars, the stretcher bars on the back, and I'll put, like if it's a 16 by 20, I just put 16 on the 16-inch side and 20 on the 20 side, and that's mainly for me, so I know at a glance for sure. Because sometimes you're like, wait a minute, what size is that? You have to get your ruler out, or your measuring tape to know for sure. Is that a 9 by 12 or is that a 12 by 18? It's sometimes they can look alike. So I put that on there, and it's easier for the collector if they do want to try to frame it themselves. They got the numbers right there. There's no guessing. Yeah. Okay. Well, this was, I think we've just about covered whatever. Oh, and I will say one thing, talking about the symbol again, I have seen some artists have like a stamp made. And and those are pretty cool looking. A lot of times they look like a little Chinese emblem or something. And I think that looks kind of cool. Now, I know that my potter friend, Tom Winscat, has a new line coming out, and he's got a little stamp. And actually his old line too. It's Bee Tree Pottery, and he has a little beehive, and he stamped that into his pottery. And you always can look on the back and see that that's Tom's. I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is short and sweet.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else major.
No, but like you said, this is really important that you sign your work and that it's legible so people can find you to buy more of your work, right? That's what we want to be, to sell more of our work, to get it out there, share it with everyone. And we can't share it and have people find you if they can't read your signature. So keep that in mind. Even if you have a sloppy signature and you put that on the front, make sure that you have something they can read on the back. I think it's better to have it, be able to read it on the front, but that's just me. Okay, Lori, we have anything else to add?
I don't think so. I think that's a wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. All right, so, well, thanks for listening, and please subscribe if you like our podcast. That would help us out tremendously if you subscribe to get it each week. We drop a new episode every Tuesday, and leave us a review and rate our show. That helps other people find us and tells the powers that be that, we have a worthwhile podcast here, which we think we do. And also, our anniversary is coming up, our 1-year anniversary, and we have a giveaway. We are giving away a tote bag to one lucky winner. And the way that you enter is to give us a written review on like Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast at. So give us a written review and make sure that you drop us an email at Creative Type Podcast and let us know that you just left your review and what your username is for that review, because some people use an anonymous username. So do that, and we'll put you in the running to win our marvelous tote bag, which I just love. I have one. I use it all the time, and we'll be giving that away. The deadline is January 24th to get your review in, and we'll be giving it away the next week.
Yay!
So, yay! Thanks for listening. And
I can't
believe it's been almost a year already.
I know.
I know. Here's to another year. Right, right. So subscribe, everyone, and we hope you have a good week ahead, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.